Well, the impeachment inquiry continues to escalate after more depositions take place on Capitol Hill today. Current and former aides to former Special Envoy Kurt Volker appeared before the committees to speak on the president's Ukraine policy. Now, I spoke with GOP Kentucky Congressman Massie for his take on the inquiry so far. Take a look. All right, so we've been following the latest with the impeachment depositions happening on Capitol Hill. And joining us now is Congressman Massie with his take on what's been happening so far. Hi, Congressman. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, you betcha. All right, let's get right into it here. Congressman, today more impeachment depositions are being held, as I just mentioned. And of course, you sit on the Oversight Committee, so you do have access to these proceedings. Have you been able to ask questions? Because, as we know, some fellow Republicans of yours saying that Adam Schiff is stopping them from questioning witnesses.
Yeah, yesterday I was present when Jim Jordan tried to ask the witness a question about who he shared his information with. That was the witness Vindman. And Adam Schiff started acting like Vindman's lawyer and shut down Jim Jordan. And then, we appealed the ruling to the chair, but Adam Schiff's also the chair. And so he sustained his own objection. So he's acting like the judge, the jury, and the lawyer for these witnesses. It's a little tough to get all of the information in this setting. I think if the public saw that going on, they wouldn't tolerate it.
And as we know, also, reports today saying that former assistant to Kurt Volker testified that the White House stopped the State Department from issuing a statement condemning Russian attacks on Ukrainian vessels back in November of last year. We know Volker then had to tweet a position on this matter. Does that make for good U.S.-Ukraine foreign policy, do you think?
This has been an interesting insight into how foreign policy is carried out, just sitting through these depositions in the SCIF. What's interesting to me is that the State Department and some of these ambassadors have their own agenda, and they don't want to be troubled with elected officials. They don't want to be troubled with directives from the president or Congress or from anybody else, maybe the ambassadors that Trump appointed. So it seems like it's a little haphazard over there, but these employees at the State Department and at the NSC, they're very passionate about their jobs. That's what I'm learning in these depositions, particularly the one today with Kathy Croft. But they don't want to be impeded by elected officials.
And then before I let you go, President Trump says that it's great that the GOP is coming out against this flawed impeachment process, as he says, adding that Republicans should be defending him more, in fact, on that phone call with the Ukrainian president, because that call was perfect and because he says there was no quid pro quo. Do you think that it's right for the president to ask a foreign government to investigate any U.S. citizen?
Well, I think it's actually an obligation of the president to make sure that there's no corruption in the country before he sends money there. And the best way we could support the president right now as Republicans is what we're doing right now, which is to try and open up these hearings. If the American people could see how these depositions are being conducted, if the president could have counsel present, if the president's counsel could ask questions. Nancy Pelosi has promised a little bit of that without actually really promising that in the resolution that we're going to be voting on here in less than 24 hours. So they've taken a pig and tried to put lipstick on the pig. The pig is this impeachment process, and the lipstick is the resolution that we're going to pass today. So right. I stand by the fact that these should be open hearings. Let the American people decide whether what the president did was legitimate or illegitimate. I think it was fine.
So you think that this will offer up some of that transparency that Republicans have been asking for?
I totally support transparency. Eventually everybody in Congress is going to have to vote on this. I believe Nancy Pelosi pushed the snowball down the hill, and it's going to lead to an impeachment vote and referral to the Senate. Every member of Congress is going to have to vote on it. They should be able to see the countenance of the witnesses when they're testifying, and they should certainly be able to see these transcripts, which they can't right now if they're not on one of the three committees.
All right. Interesting take on that, Congressman. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your time with us today. We do appreciate that.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.